Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam
Namaskritya
Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naham
Chaiva
Narottama
Narottam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswati Vyasam
Tato Jayam Udiraye
Tado
Tato Jayam Udiraye
Invatam Swakatah Krishna
Sunvatam
Yatam
Swakata
Swakata
Krishna
Krishna
Yashravana Kirtana
Punya Shravan
Purana
Kirtana
Kirtana
Vidyantasto Hyabhadrani
Hridayantastro
Hridyantattva
Bhadrani
Vidhunoti Sahritsatam
Vidhunoti
Vidhunoti
Sahrisatam
Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu
Nashta Prayesh
Nashtapraeshu
Bhadreshu
Bhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam
Nityam
Bhagavati
Bhagavata
Sevaya
Sevaya
Te Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke
Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Nayishtiki
Bhaktir Bhavati
Bhavati
Naistiki
Naistiki
Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Krishnaya
Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Vasudevaya
Devaki Nandanaya Cha
Devaki
Devaki Nandanaya
Nandanaya
Cha
Gopakumaraya
Nanda
Nanda
Gopa
Gopa
Kumaraya
Kumaraya
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Govindaya
Vindaya Namo
Namo
Namaha.
Namaha.
Hare Krishna. So last week we covered reception of Lord in Dwarka, how various categories of devotees received Lord, the general population, and then the parents of the Lord in Vatsalya Bhava, and then the queens in Madhurya Rasa. So now the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunika, they inquire further. They try to remind Sutta Goswami about the topics originally planned, because there was some detour in between. Originally, the sages inquired about what was the inspiration for compilation of Bhagavatam, the origins of Srimad Bhagavatam, and then the birth of Parīkṣit, and the connection between Parīkṣit and Sukadeva Goswami. These were their inquiries in chapter 4, if you all remember. And 4, 5, 6 chapters covered the inspiration for compiling Bhagavatam, how actually Vyasadeva was not very satisfied in the heart, and how he was inspired by his spiritual master to compile Srimad Bhagavatam. That was all covered in 4, 5, 6. And then events leading to Parīkṣit birth was covered in chapter 7. Like the Kurukshetra war was over, and Ashwadhama want to eliminate the last remaining descendant of Pandavas, and it through Brahmastra, and how Lord protected. But then there was the topic should continue about the glory of birth of Parīkṣit. But Sutta Goswami further described the immediate events that happened at the time. What are the immediate events that happened? Mother Kunti offers her prayers, heartfelt prayers, when Lord was about to leave for his kingdom, Dwarka. Mother Kunti offers her prayers. That was the first thing that happened. After that, Yudhishthira Maharaj was despondent. He was he was thinking that he was the cause of all the warfare, and he was despondent. To relieve him of the despondency, Lord Krishna stayed back for some more time. And he also took him to Bhishma Dev. So Bhishma Stuti and Bhishma's advice to Yudhishthira Maharaj happened. So all those events, and then finally Lord departs. Those were described in almost 4 chapters. The detour happened between 8, 9, 10, 11 chapters was a total detour from original questions of the sages. Now sages are reminding, okay, so this is our original topic. Let's get back to the original topic. And that's when again Saunakadi's rishis remind about the question and further details about the birth of Parīkṣit and the origin of the speaking of Bhagavatam will be spoken now. So this chapter is dedicated to that. Let's start. Sri Shaunaka Uvacha
Sri Sonako
Aswadhamno Astrena
Aswadhamo Astrena
Brahmasirshnoru Tejasa
Brahma Vishnu Tejasa
Uttaraya Hata Garbho Hato Garbha
Uttaraya Hado Garbha
Vishena Jivita Puna.
Ishena Jivita Puna.
Please read.
The sage Sonaka said, "The womb of Uttara, mother of Maharaj Parīkṣit, was spoiled by the dreadful and invincible Brahmastra weapon released by Ashwatthama. But Maharaj Parīkṣit was saved by the Supreme Lord."
This is just a one-line summary of what he described in chapter 7. Tasya Janma Mahabuddhe
Tasya janma mahabuddhe
Karmani Cha Mahatmana
Karmani Cha Mahatmana
Nidhanam Cha Yathai Vasit
Nidhanam Cha Yataivasit
Sapretya Gatavan Yata.
Sapretya Gatamanyata.
So please read translation.
How was the great Emperor Parīkṣit, who was a highly intelligent and great devotee, born in that womb? How did his death take place, and what did he achieve after his death?
So there are multiple questions asked by these sages here, headed by Shaunaka. Tasya Janma Mahabuddhe. His Janma is the birth. Mahabuddhe, greatly intelligent person. How was this greatly intelligent person's birth happened? Karmani Cha Mahatmana. And this Mahatma's activities. What are the activities of this Mahatma? Nidhanam Cha Yathai Vasit. Nidhanam means now passing away. How did he pass away from this world? So his birth, his activities, and his passing away from this world. Sapretya Gatavan Yata. And what is the destination he achieved after he passed away? Gatavan Yata. So these are all the 4 questions, inquiries about Parīkṣit Maharaj asked by the great sages. Because Lord, Parīkṣit birth was great because Lord was directly a protector in that event. And Parīkṣit Maharaj had the darshan of the Lord directly in the womb of the mother. It was very rare. And he was named Parīkṣit because he was always searching, where is that person I saw in the womb of my mother? Parīkṣit. He was always checking, where is that Lord? By his name itself, he was named like that. So because he was, he witnessed Lord within the womb, his birth was great. Karma Nicha, his activities are also very great because he was able to withhold Kali Purush. When he entered his kingdom, he was able to withhold him. And his kingdom was as good as that of Rama. And even his own grandfather Yudhishthira Maharaj. So his activities were perfect. Similarly, his passing away was unique because he passed away. His passing away is great because he had, he had the 7-day notice period for his passing away. Most people, when they pass away, they don't get the notice. It's very unique. Everybody knows that everybody has to pass away, but not everybody gets the notice of period like this. And also, his death led to the speaking of Srimad Bhagavatam. The whole thing was arranged by Lord himself so that the Srimad Bhagavatam appears in this world. So Parīkṣit was an instrument. That is why his passing away was great. And of course, after passing away, he went to the spiritual planets. So his Gatavanyata is also great. So that is explained here. Maharaj Parīkṣit was saved by Lord in the womb of his mother. So he could certainly be saved from the untimely death. So yeah, one may inquire, his birth was actually protected by Lord. And same Lord can also protect him at the time of death. Parīkṣit Maharaj so detached that he would not, just because he got saved during his birth time by Lord, he didn't seek Lord to protect him at the time of death when untimely death was coming upon him. He could have done that. He's as powerful as that great sage whose son, Saimika. He could have done that, but he didn't do that. So that is the greatness of a devotee. So the devotees accept whatever conditions that come upon them as the grace of God. They don't try to fight it. He understood this is for a higher cause, and he just surrendered to the will of Lord. He didn't question. He knows he was thinking he did a wrong action and he need to be punished. It doesn't matter if it means death. So that was his way of accepting the situation, right? So he never thought, oh, I'm a great king, coming in Yudhishthira Maharaj's family. What will people think about my untimely death like this? People may think, our dynasty was polluted like this because of me. He never thought for 1 second like that. He just surrendered his life. That's it. He didn't counter curse. He didn't fight back. He didn't pray to protect his life. He just accepted it as Lord's will and continued with his, duties. Please read this. Yes. Chaitanya Sundar Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, you want to read this?
He did not want to interfere with the current of the time, but he prepared himself to meet death very cheerfully and very properly. Being fortunate, he got at least 7 days to prepare himself to meet death, and so he properly utilized the time in the association of Sukadeva Goswami, the great saint and devotee of the Lord.
Yeah, he just focused on the right things instead of trying to save himself. Look at Hiranyakashipu, what he did when he got the notice, or Kamsa, how he did. Look at Ambarish Maharaj, or look at Chitraketu Maharaj, for example. Right? He got a curse from Mother Parvati. He's so powerful that he could have counter-cursed Mother Parvati. He just, slightly expressed his chastisement towards Lord Shiva, but Mother Parvati took it very offensively and she cursed him. As soon as he accepted the curse in a graceful way, Lord Shiva himself praises him. See, look at the greatness of the devotees. They accept whatever conditions are thrown at them with such grace and devotion. They never complain back. So that was the greatness of devotees. No, even in this case, I did a mistake. I'm ready to face. That is the way Parīkṣit Maharaj accepted the situation. Tadidam shrotumichchamo
Tadidam shrotum
gaditum yadi manyase
yadi manyase
ruhina shraddhadananam
Rohina Shraddhanam
Jnanam
Shajnanam Adachuka. Please read.
We all respectfully want to hear about him, Maharaj Parīkṣit, to whom Sukadeva Goswami imparted transcendental knowledge. Please speak on this matter.
They want to hear about.
Out of the nine different transcendental means of devotion service to the Lord prescribed in the Bhagavatam, either all of them or some of them or even one of them are equally beneficial if properly discharged. Maharaj Parīkṣit and Sukadeva Goswami were serious performance of the first two important items, namely the process of chanting and the process of hearing. And therefore both of them were successful in their laudable attempt. The transcendental realization is attained by such serious hearing and chanting and not otherwise.
The important point is one should seriously take to the practice.
Ardent hearing from the bona fide master is the only way to receive transcendental knowledge, and there is no need for medical performances or occult mysticism for miraculous effects. The process is simple, but only the sincere party can achieve the desired result.
Sincerity is important. Sutta Uvacha
Sutta Uvacha
Apipalad Dharmaraja
Apipala
Pitruvad Ranjayam Praja
Pitruvad
Shpriha Sarva Kamebhya Krishna Padanusevaya.
Krishna
Sure. Hare Krishna. Sri Sudha Goswami said, Emperor Yudhishthira administered generously to everyone during his reign. He was exactly like his father. He had no personal ambitions and was freed from all sort of sense gratification. Because of his continuous service unto the lotus feet of the Lord Sri Krishna.
This is the characteristic of Parīkṣit Maharaj. Apipala Dharmaraja. He was following the footsteps of Dharmaraja. Pitruvad Ranjayan Praja. Praja means all people, rulership. And how was he taking care of them? Pitruvad. Just like their father. He was taking care of everybody just like their own father. Nispriha Sarva Kamebhya. He doesn't have any sense gratificatory desire. He was not looking to enjoy the facilities that are under his control. He was not at all seeing the people with, or the properties with enjoyment mentality. Krishna Padanusevaya. Why he was able to do that? Because he was continuously engaged in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. Krishna Padanusevaya. This is an instruction for all people in leadership positions. If the leaders are having this kind of mentality, especially like the chief leaders, like country heads, then everybody will be happy in the country. Right? They should be like father. They shouldn't have any kind of sense gratificatory desires and should be engaged continuously in the service of the Lord. Right? Is the ideal king or the ruler of the country. Please read.
Here in the word praja is significant. The import of the word is that which is born. On the earth, there are many species of life, from the aquatic up to the perfect human beings, and all are known as prajas. Lord Brahma, the creator of this particular universe, is known as Prajapati because he's the grandfather of all who have taken birth.
Yeah, Prajapati means, Praja doesn't mean only human beings. Praja means all living entities. That's why Brahma is called Prajapati. From Brahma is born all types of aquatics, trees, plants, insects, animals, human beings. Everybody was born from Brahma, right? And he's called Prajapati. Praja means, similarly, king means he is also king of the plants, he was also king of the animals, he was also king of the cows. In today's world, only the most, human beings are taken care by the, leaders of the country because they can vote, but rest of the living entities were ignored. They're never, they were used for the purpose of human consumption, but they're never taken care. They're actually more, they need more protection because they're more innocent and they're dependent than the other, human beings. That is the reason they maintain slaughterhouses. That's what Prabhupada talks about, lower animals are given no protection, while the higher animals are given so-called protection. So that is the nature of today's world. That is the reason there is so much, nature doesn't support. Nature, there is always disturbance in the nature because nature is actually Lord's energy. She will withhold everything. Today there is so much inflation. What is inflation? Actually, everything is costly. Means just like Mother Nature is not giving it, she's saying, hey, this is higher price, right? In a way, because the whole purpose of existence and creation is so that the jivas learn the lesson and go back to God and use everything. Whatever Mother Nature gives, the ultimate desire of Mother Nature is that everything should be used for the purpose of Lord, for the satisfaction of the Lord. If that, when that reduces, naturally Mother will be withholding things. She wouldn't be. This whole creation is like a, just like, suppose your child asks for, she wants to cook, you would give some utensils, some toy utensils where she can cook. But you know very well it's only a temporary thing. Similarly, this whole entire material existence was temporarily created so that his children, the praja, can play here and learn that this is not a permanent place and go back to God, right? But it's never a permanent place for enjoying. So until the people realize that, Mother Nature has to teach the lessons. So all the calamities that we see today, today in this world, like there are so many problems in all around the world. There is war, there is pandemic and scarcity of resources, scarcity of food right now. A lot of countries like Sri Lanka, they are all going through so much calamity. It's all because of godless civilization. So in Yudhishthira Maharaj's time, he was the king of the entire world. Nature was completely supportive of his rulership. That is the exact reason why Parīkṣit was protected, because Lord wanted great devotee to rule the country at the time. He wanted some descendant of Pandavas to continue the rulership. That is the reason he protected. Please read this. Yeah.
Maharaj Yudhishthira, therefore, was constantly engaged in the service of and thus part and parcels of the Lord. The living being under his careful administration were perfectly attended with all comforts in this life and all progress in the next. That is the way of perfect management of the state administration.
He was doing the perfect management of administration, state administration. Everybody was happy. The king was happy. right? And all the praja were also happy. In today's world, you hardly see anybody happy. The more people are unhappy, the more bad the king was, actually. Just like children suffer when parents are drunkards or they don't care for the kids at all. Right? It's the same thing here in the world also. Sampada kratavo loka
Sampada kratavo loka
brataro mahi
Mahishi
Mahi
jambudvipadipathyam cha
Jambudvipadipathyam cha
yashascha tridivam gatam.
Yashascha Tridivam Gatam.
Agreed.
News even reached the celestial planets about Maharaja Yudhishthira's worldly possessions, the sacrifices by which he would attain a better destination, his queen, his stalwart brothers, his extensive land, his sovereignty over the planet Earth, his fame, etc.
Yudhishthira Maharaj was so glorious that his fame spread even in higher planets. Even Indra's kingdom knew about the glorious Yudhishthira Maharaj's rulership. So it's so famous.
Only a rich and great man's name and fame are known all over the world, and the name and fame of Maharaj Yudhishthira reached the higher planets because of his good administration, worldly possessions, glorious wife Draupadi, the strength of his brothers Bhima and Arjuna, and his solid sovereign power over the world known as Jambudvipa.
So everything was great with his life, and more above everything else, he was, as in the previous verse mentioned, he was always devoted to worship of Lord Krishna. That was the main backbone of his strength.
Maharaja Yudhishthira's good sacrifices and qualifications were so lofty and virtuous that even the residents of the higher celestial planets were already prepared to receive him as one of them.
When the king is great, naturally, everybody in the entire creation recognize that. Kinte kama sutra sparha
Kimte kama surasparha
mukunda manasodvija
mukunda manasodvija
adir jahur mudam rajna
adijar mudam rajnah
yudhistasya yutyate tare
Shuditasya yathetare.
Mukunda Manasodvija. Mukunda Manasodvija means who is always conscious of Mukunda in his mind. Always thinking about Krishna in his mind. Yeah, please read.
O Brahmanas, the opulence of the king was so enchanting that the ensigns of the heavens aspired for it. But because he was absorbed in the service of the Lord, nothing could satisfy him except the Lord's service.
The denizens were, because they have some enjoyment mentality, that's why they are in the heaven. They were looking at the opulences of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So this section was, is setting the pretext for Maharaj Parīkṣit. First, there is glorification of Maharaj Yudhishthira's kingdom, and then Maharaj Parīkṣit birth and other, his qualities are described. It's just setting the context. So there is description of Maharaj Parīkṣit's greatness. So here it's mentioned, denizens were, because they are Mishra Bhaktas, they are actually seeing how Maharaj Yudhishthira's kingdom was, opulent, and they are even wanting to come here and reside here. But for Maharaj Yudhishthira, his mind is always focused on Krishna Bhakti. Okay? Nothing could satisfy except Lord's service. That is the only thing that satisfies him every single day. As long as that is done, he is happy. But otherwise, he is not happy. Right? Nothing could satisfy except for Lord's service. So that is the nature of that is the nature of a great devotee.
The whole material world is full of hungry living beings. The hunger is not for the good food, shelter, or the sense gratification. The hunger is for the spiritual atmosphere. Due to ignorance only, they think that the world is dissatisfied because there is not sufficient food, shelter, defense, and object of sense gratification. This is called illusion. When the living being is hungry for spiritual satisfaction, he is misrepresented by the material hunger. But the foolish leader cannot see that even the people who are most materially satisfied are still hungry.
Actually, the hunger is not just of the stomach. Hunger is actually of the heart. Everybody is really hungry for spiritual satisfaction at the core. When that is satisfied, all the other needs are addressed. So in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, we see there are very, very poor devotees like Suklambara Brahmachari. You remember the story of Suklambara Brahmachari. So they're all like beggars. They don't have any positions, but they're completely satisfied in the heart because they were always remembering the Lord's holy name. They were always chanting the holy name. Even look at Haridas Thakur. He has no position, but he was totally satisfied. He was always giving the holy name for others. He was never asking for any positions of material nature. Right? So that is how, on the contrary, we see billionaires sometimes doing suicides because any amount of material positions doesn't give the satisfaction. Otherwise, why would there would be wars in the richest families or divorces in the richest families? Because what they have is actually not truly satisfying to the heart. The true satisfaction is only in actually worshipping Mukunda or Krishna. So without that, there is no real happiness. So the real hunger is misinterpreted by the world leaders as material needs. Most of the the economic development is the only thing that is a problem in the material world. They won't see anything beyond that because of lack of spiritual vision. Right? Prabhupada has clearly called out here. The real hunger is actually the real gap in the material world is lack of spiritual consciousness, right? Lack of Krishna consciousness. That is the real problem in the material world. If that is there, everything else will fall in place. Matur garbha gato vira.
Matur garbha
Maturgarbhagato Veera
Tada bhrugunandana.
Tada
Bhrigunandana
Darsha purusham kanchit.
Dadarsha Purusham Kanchid
Yamano stratejasa.
Yamanosvatejasa.
O son of Bhrigu Saunaka, when the child Parīkṣit, the great fighter, was in the womb of his mother Uttara and was suffering from the burning heat of Brahmastra thrown by Ashwatthama, he could observe the Supreme Lord coming to him.
Yeah, so when the Brahmastra is coming, Astra Tejasa, the Hyamano, so it is coming to actually burn Parīkṣit with full force. That time he could actually observe who? Supreme Lord coming to him, right? So next verse explains how actually Parīkṣit witnesses this Lord in the womb of his mother, right? Angushtamatram amalam.
Angushtamatram amalam
Puratamaulinam.
Spurat
Purat Puratamaulinam
Api Vyadarshanam Shyamam
Api
Apivya Darshanam Syamam
Tadidvasanam Achyutam
Tadidvasasam Achyutam
Angushtamatram Amalam. So the form of the Lord is of the size of the measure of thumb. Like if you look at your right hand thumb, that is the measure of Paramatma in the heart. And Lord, when he appeared in the womb of Mother Uttara, he appeared to Parīkṣit Maharaj of the same size. Angushtamatram Amalam is our transcendental, pure. Angushtamatram means the measure of the thumb. That is the size of Lord when he appeared in the womb of the mother. Please read.
He, the Lord, was only thumb high, but he was all transcendental. He had a very beautiful, blackish, infallible body, and he wore a dress of lightning yellow and a helmet of blazing gold. Thus he was seen by the child.
So how he was? Darshanam Shyama. He was of very beautiful blackish body. Tadid Vasanam Achyutam. Tadid means is dazzling. There is effulgence in his presence, and there was his yellow cloth was all shining. Tadid Vasanam Achyutam. The Lord was there right before the eyes of Parīkṣit Maharaj. Parīkṣit Maharaj had the darshan of Lord right in the womb of his mother. Now, actual description of Lord in the womb is given here. Srimad Dirga Chatur Bahum
Srimad
Dirga Chaturbahum
Taptakanchana Kundalam
Tapta Kanchana Kundalam
Shatajaksham Gadapanim
Rajaksham Gadapanim
Atmana Sarvato Disham
Atmana Sarvato Disham
Paribhramantam Ulkabham
Paripramantam Ulkabam
Ramayantam Gadam Muhu
Brahmayantam Gadam Muhu
Ramayantam means he was going around Gadam Muhu with his Gada, right? He was whirling his Gada. Gadapani. He was, so Lord holds his Gada, and on the Gada of the Lord are always the marks of blood of the demons who try to attack his devotees. So Lord holds Gada to protect his devotees and to annihilate the miscreants. And he holds Gada and Chakra for that. And he holds the lotus to please the devotees. Please read.
The Lord was
Please go ahead, Prabhuji.
okay. The Lord was enriched with the 4 hands, earrings of molten gold, and eyes blood red with fury. As he loitered about, his club constantly encircled him like a shooting star.
So this shows actually how much Lord loves his devotees. So he really cared for Uttara and the child Parīkṣit, who is yet to be born. And out of his affection, he directly entered the womb and personally taking care of his devotee before he was even born. His eyes were blood red with fury, anger. Earrings of molten gold, very shiny face with 4 hands, right? Encircled with, he has 4 hands. As he loitered about, his club constantly encircling him like a shooting star. That was what he was doing. Right? He shows the love of Lord for his devotees.
Yeah. The Lord can become bigger than thousands of universes and can become smaller than an atom at the same time. Merciful as he is, he becomes just as suitable to the vision of the limited living being. He is unlimited. He is not limited by any measurement of our calculation. he can become bigger than what we can think of, and he can become smaller than what we conceive. But in all circumstances, he is same all-powerful Lord. There is no difference between the thumb-like Vishnu in the womb of Uttara and the full-fledged Narayana in the Vaikuntha Dhama, the kingdom of Godhead.
Yeah. So Lord takes various forms to be reachable to us. For example, he is in this form, he is like a thumb-like form. Sometimes he accepts the Archavigraha form that's described here by Prabhupada. That is Lord's mercy upon the jivas, so that the jivas can approach him and serve him in various ways. But his potency and his power, all of them remain the same in various incarnations. Astrateja swagadaya
Astrateja Swagadaya
haram iva gopati
Haram Iva Gopati
dhamantam sannikarshe
Vidhamantam Sannikarche
Paryaikshata iti aso.
Paryekshata iti asa.
Please read.
The Lord was thus engaged in vanquishing the radiation of the Brahmastra. Just as the sun evaporates a drop of dew, he was observed by the child who thought about who he was.
So Lord was able to vanquish this Brahmastra. Brahmastra is the most formidable weapon. But for Lord, this is like, when Lord is like a sun, Brahmastra is like a drop of dew, like a small, water drop. Nothing for Lord. In just a second, he can just annihilate that. So that's what happened. For Lord, this is just nothing. Niharam iva gopatihi. Means just like a drop of dew before sun. It was observed. This is all observed by Parīkṣit in the womb. Right? Who thought about who he was? Who was wondering. In the 7th month onwards, the baby becomes conscious in the womb. She starts feeling the pain of the food because of the food eaten by. This is all described by Kapila in Kapila in 3rd Canto, 28th chapter onwards. The stages of development of the jiva in the womb of the mother. It mentions that in the 7th month onwards, the jiva is quite restless in the womb, and he can understand everything that is going on there. So this must have happened towards 7th or 8th month for Parīkṣit Maharaj while he was in the womb. So he was able to clearly observe Lord, and he was wondering at that time, like in the womb, who he was. Interesting, right?
Prabhuji, a quick question. So is it like Parīkṣit Maharaj was able to remember like after he was born also, whatever he realized during the womb?
Yes, he was. Yes. It is a gift for him. Not everybody remembers what happens. But many pious souls in the womb actually pray to the Lord that as soon as they come out, they see the suffering in the womb, and they pray to the Lord. As soon as they come out, they will take to shelter of Lord. They will do that. Impious souls don't do that, but it is mentioned in the scriptures that in the 3rd canto itself, it's mentioned that the jiva actually prays that as soon as he's relieved out of the womb, he will be immediately engaged in the worship of Lord. But jiva most likely forgets that promise to the Lord. Fortunately, sometimes he will receive the mercy of devotees and again get back to the process. But many jivas even forget it. In the case of Parīkṣit, he remembers. That's why he's called Parīkṣit, because he was always searching for Lord all the time, all his life.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Did we read this? Vidhuya? No, right?
Not it.
Vidhuya tad ameyatma
Vidhujatatmeyatma
Bhagavan Dharma Vibhu
Bhagavan Dharma Vibhuho
Mishato Dashama Sasya
Mishato
Yato
Dasam
Dasamasasya
Tatraivantaradhade Hari.
Tatraya
Tatraivaantardadhe Harihi.
Please read.
While thus being observed by the child, the Supreme Lord, personality of Godhead, the super soul of everyone, and the protector of the righteous, who stretches in all directions and who is unlimited by time and space, disappeared at once.
Yeah, Parīkṣit was observing who is this personality, in the womb, and the super soul of everyone, Krishna, who was there, the protector of the righteous, who stretches in all directions, is there everywhere, and unlimited by time and space, disappeared at once. After the job is done, Lord came out. Yeah.
The Lord is mentioned herein as one who is dressed in the 10 directions. This means dressed with garments on 10 sides, up and down. He is present everywhere and can appear and disappear at his will from everywhere and anywhere. His disappearance from the sight of the child Parīkṣit does not mean that he appeared on the spot from any other place. He was present there, and even after his disappearance, he was there, although invisible to the eyes of the child.
He was there as Paramatma always, just that he disappeared from the vision of Parīkṣit. Tata sarva gunodarke
Tata
Tata
Sarva
sarva gunodarke
sanukula grahodaye
Sanukula grahodaye
jagne vamsadhara pandor
Jagne vamsadara pandor
ya pandur ivaujasa.
Bhuya
Bhuya pandur vaujasa.
Thereupon, when all the good signs of the zodiac gradually evolved, the here apparent of Pandu, who would be exactly like him, his prowess took birth.
So, and the time passed, and when the appropriate time came, he appeared. So look at this. It says good signs of Zodiac gradually evolved. So whenever Lord appears, or one of the great devotees of Lord appears in this world, all the good signs of Zodiac also align themselves. It's like, when we receive a great minister or anybody who is reputed, we make all the arrangements, right, so that they're received with proper state reception, or right. So similarly, the Zodiac signs actually align themselves when a great devotee or Lord himself appear. So that's what is happening with Parīkṣit Maharaj. Right? in today's world, people try to do C-section at a good time so that they can come at a appropriate time, right? That is all artificial arrangement. Actually, it is all decided by Zodiac themselves, right? Zodiac themselves arrange when the right personality comes out. We cannot artificially force such things as per our convenience, because we have some control on when the time of birth. Yeah. Please read. Continue. No, we can't hear you.
I think he's not there. Okay, man's destiny is therefore ascertained by the birth time constellation of stars, and a factual horoscope is made by a learned astrologer. It's a great science, and misuse of a science does not make it useless. Maharaj Parīkṣit, or even the personality of Godhead, appear in certain constellations of good stars, and thus the influence is exerted upon the body thus born at an auspicious moment. The most auspicious constellation of stars takes place during the appearance of the Lord in this material world, and it is specifically called Jayanti, a word not to be abused for any other purposes. Maharaj Parīkṣit was not only a great Kshatriya emperor, but also a great devotee of the Lord. Thus, he cannot take his birth at any inauspicious moment. As a proper place and time is selected to receive, as a proper time and place and time is selected to receive a respectable personage, so also to receive such a personality as Maharaj Parīkṣit, who was especially cared for by the Supreme Lord. A suitable moment is chosen when all the good stars assemble together to exert their influence upon the king. Thus, he took his birth just to be known as the great hero of Srimad Bhagavatam. This suitable arrangement of astral influences is never a creation of man's will, but is the arrangement of the superior management of the agency of the Supreme Lord.
It's all arrangement of the Lord. It's not artificial arrangement.
Yeah. The samskaras of the school of Sanatana Dharma, man's eternal engagement, are highly suitable for creating an atmosphere for taking advantage of good stellar influences. And therefore, Garbhadana Samskara are the first seedling purificatory process prescribed for the higher caste, is the beginning of all pious acts to receive a good, pious, and intelligent class of men in human society. There will be a peace and prosperity in the world due to good and sane population only. There is hell and disturbance only because of the unwanted, insane populace addicted to sex indulgence.
So the samskaras are prescribed in Vedic scriptures so that good progeny can be invited to this world. Right? Beginning with Garbhadana Samskara. Before even the child was born, Garbhadana Samskara is performed, how the mother and father unite. That decides, the kind of progeny one gets in their life. Right? So with such progeny, there will be peace and prosperity in this world. Otherwise, it's all, Sudra class of people born in this world. Of course, in today's world, nobody is following these principles much. So there is always so much disturbance in this world. Tasya Prita Manaraja.
Tasya Prita Manaraja.
Prayer Dhaumya Kripadibi.
Viprayer Dhaumya Kripadibihi.
Jatakam Karayam Asha.
Jatakam
Karayam Asa.
Vachayatva cha Mangalam.
Vachayitva cha Mangalam.
King Yudhishthira, who was very satisfied by the birth of Maharaj Parīkṣit, had the purificatory process of birth performed. Learned Brahmanas headed by Dhaumya and Kripa recited auspicious hymns.
So king was very satisfied with the birth of Maharaj Parīkṣit, and he did everything according to religious principles. All the samskaras were performed, and to receive again Brahmanas were were invited, right, headed by Dhaumya and Kripacharya. They recited auspicious hymns as he arrives. That is the Vedic way of inviting the newborn to this world. Yeah. So this is all because there is Brahmanical culture in those days. So Brahmanas were highly respected and Brahmanas were capable. But in today's world, you hardly have such capable people. So the best thing that we can do at this time is just, keeping the chanting of Hare Krishna. That is the only purificatory ceremony we can do. It's the main thing. Because in Kali Yuga, you won't have the opportunity to have qualified Brahmanas who can perform purificatory rituals as described in the scriptures. Everybody is contaminated. So whatever is possible, the best is, Bhagavad Dharma, which is to depend on, devotion service to the Supreme Lord. That is the best thing we can do in this case. Yeah. Continue, brother.
There is a need for good and intelligent class of brahmanas who are expert in performing the purificatory process prescribed in the system of Varnashrama Dharma. Unless such purificatory processes are performed, there is no possibility of good population. And in the age of Kali, the population all over the world is Shudra quality or lower for want of this purificatory process.
Otherwise, these are not followed. Low-grade people with low consciousness will be born.
Therefore, all the samskaras, purificatory process are not mere formalities or social functions only, but they are all for practical purposes and can be successfully performed by expert brahmanas like Dhaumya and Kripa. Such brahmanas are not only rare, but also not available in this age, and therefore for the purpose of spiritual upliftment in this fallen age, the Goswamis prefer the purificatory process under Pancharatrika formulas to the Vedic rites.
Yeah, so in today's time, Pancharatrik Vidhi, the Narada Pancharatrika will be used as the reference. Narada Pancharatrika is pure devotion to Krishna, that's all. So chanting of the holy name, reciting prayers of great devotees, hearing Bhagavad Katha, and basic process of worshipping the Lord in the temple. Those are all part of Pancharatrika. Hiranyam gam mahim graman.
Hiranyam gam mahim
Yaswan nipatir varan.
Astyasvan Ripatir Varan.
Radhaswanam cha viprebhya.
Radhasvanam cha Viprebhya.
Satirthavet.
Prajatirte Satirthavet.
Upon the birth of the sun, the king who knew how, where, and when charity should be given, gave gold, land, villages, elephants, horses, and good food grains to the brahmanas.
So as per customary, they gave this charity to the brahmanas. Yeah. Please read, Prabhu.
Only the brahmanas and sannyasis are authorized to accept charity from the householders. In all the different occasions of samskaras, especially during the time of birth, marriage, and death, wealth is distributed to the brahmanas because the brahmanas are the highest quality of service in regard to the prime necessity of humankind.
Brahmanas were always taken care because they don't charge anything for their services. That was the culture of those days. In today's culture, we don't find that. They were always dependent on, the whatever comes their way by other varnas, right? Other ashramas. So they were always taken care by, saintly kings like Yudhishthira Maharaj. So in this case, Brahmanas were distributed with all kinds of food grains and horses, elephants, villages also. But generally villages, they don't rule, right? So they actually again donate to another king or something like that. So it's always like that. Brahmanas were always just using whatever they gave, only partially just for their basic needs, and again they do further charity. They're never greedy. Yeah.
The word Tirthavid is significant because the king knew well where and when the charity has to be given. Charity is never unproductive or blind. In the Shastras, charity was offered to the persons who deserve to accept charity by dint of spiritual enlightenment. The so-called Daridra Narayana, a misconception of the Supreme Lord by unauthorized persons, is never to be found in the Shastras as the object of charity. Nor can a wretched poor man receive much munificent charity in the way of horses, elephants, lands, and villages. The conclusion is that the intelligent men or the Brahmanas, specifically engaged in the service of the Lord, were properly maintained without anxiety for the needs of the body, and the king and the other householders gladly looked after all their comforts.
Brahmanas are considered the head of the society. Head, like just like in the body, head is considered valuable. Just by satisfying Brahmanas, because Brahmanas represent the Supreme Lord, when we serve Brahmanas naturally with humility and to their satisfaction, when we do it, we receive the blessings immediately. So that is the idea that kings very well know. So by taking good care of Brahmanas, kings were ruling the country in a very in a pleasing way to the entire population. In today's world, what do the rulers do? They only care for votes, and specifically people who are like they don't work at all. Sometimes they lot of schemes just to feed the poor and needy so that they get votes. There is no concept of Brahmanical culture, right? All vote bank politics. So we can see why the society is so downgraded, because Brahmanical culture is totally lost. Right? And Brahmanas were also very qualified. They were not using anything they receive for their sense gratification, and completely engaged all their life in the service of the Supreme Lord. Right? Their mind and thoughts were always for the benefit of the rest of the society. At least in some way we can see this. We can see this in the sannyasis and brahmacharis of current society, ISKCON society. They're all Brahmanas whom we can serve, like Grihasthas. We get the same benefit as Yudhishthira Maharaj is getting here. Tamochu Brahmanastushta
Tamochu Brahmanastushta
Janam Prashrayanvitam
Rajanam
Ajanam Prashrayanvitam
Rajanam Prashrayanvitam
Shahi Asmin Praja Tanto
Esahi Ashtin Prajatantau
Purunam Pauravashabha.
Gurunam Pauravashrava.
The learned Brahman,
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
the learned Brahmanas, who were very satisfied with the charities of the king, addressed him as the chief amongst the Purus and informed him that his son was certainly in the line of descent from the Purus.
This is more or less, the Brahmanas were tushta. Tushta means very satisfied. When Brahmanas are satisfied, Lord is satisfied. That's what we learn from the words of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Right? So one can serve Lord through serving Brahmanas, because Brahmanas' hut is a place considered directly where Lord resides. So by satisfying Brahmanas, Maharaj Yudhishthira received blessings upon Maharaj Parīkṣit. Right? So what did they say? They informed him that his son was certainly in the line of descent from the Purus. Right? He's definitely, in fact, they addressed him as the chief amongst the Purus. He is considered one of the best among this family, and informed him that his son was certainly in the line of descent from the Purus. So this is, next were set of descriptions, the spotless character of, actually they predict what's going to happen very well, because the Brahmanas are so powerful. They'll describe his activities, they'll describe his nature, and they describe his passing away as well. They all predict all of this, whatever is supposed to happen in the future. All these great Brahmanas, they predict. So we'll continue in the next class. 16 to 28 will cover that. How the Brahmanas now speak about the virtuous qualities of Parīkṣit Maharaj. So we'll end the class here, 40. Any questions or discussions?
Prabhuji, one question. So in earlier verse, Jambu Deepa is mentioned. So if you can a little bit give some elaboration on that.
Yeah, we have full, there is a full chapter on Jambu Dvipa in 4th Canto, I think. So we learn about the entire creation, the various parts. It's a big topic actually. So Jambu Dvipa, this planet Earth is called Bharatakanda, and it is there are like 7 islands in Bhumandala. There is a Mandala, Dvipa, and Khanda, 3 levels in which the whole geography is organized. And king is the king of actually not just this immediate Earth planet. There was consideration of what we cannot see also. That's called part of the Jambu Dvipa, an island where it's all because of a jambu tree. We'll hear more about it when we come there.
Sure.
But yeah, so in that island, the whole island was ruled by this king. Earth is a small speck in that Dvipa actually.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Any other questions? Okay, so we'll continue from 16th verse next class. Thank you all. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Mhm.